Hello and welcome to the DJ Force 10 in Conversation podcast, episode 168. And my very special guest on today's show is Gordon from the band Raging Speedhorn. I was a big fan of theirs back in the day. They are currently celebrating the 20th anniversary of their debut self-titled. And yeah, I can't believe it's been 20 years, but I went back and I've been listening to it through, and it's still a brutal record. So I recommend anyone going to do that, and then listen to the rest of their discography as well. It's good fun. But yeah, we go back to their sort of origin story, what it was like around then as well. Really kind of like get that perspective on there and kind of where they're at now. And then talking of now, they do have a new album due out. They got pre-orders going up on Friday, and I believe the album is due out in October. So please look out for those pre-orders. Get your orders in for the vinyl. They got vinyl coming out. They got cassette tape. They got CDs. They're going to have T-shirts and all that kind of jazz as well. So please look out for that on their social media feeds and pre-order. Go for it. From the tracks I've heard so far, it's really good. And from speaking to Gordon, I am looking forward to the album as well. So that is all good. So please look out for that. You're going to hear a lot more in the interview as well, so I'm not going to spoil anything else. But they've also got, I mean, you already know this if you listen to my last one, but they're going to be on a couple of dates on the Pitchshifter tour next year. They're going to be on the Nottingham date, which is really cool because that's the show I'm going to. Yeah. And they're going to have a bunch more, apparently, once, obviously, things sort of open up and announce and all that kind of stuff. They're going to have their own sort of stuff going on next year as well, so please look out for that. Fantastic live band. And they've got a great bunch of musicians in their band now. One I was totally surprised during this interview to hear because I didn't even realise that was the case. But yeah, please check them out. Apart from that, I just want to thank everyone for downloading the last episode. Everyone seems to be really responding to the Linktree link thing that I've got with all the links in one place, which is an absolute damn amazing thing for me because it's on so many formats, this podcast, and it's difficult to kind of like highlight one. You know, there was trying to highlight YouTube, trying to highlight Spotify, trying to highlight Apple Podcasts, and it just sort of it's because not everyone uses the same platform. So having this, it puts all the major platforms in one place. So please look out for that. It's linktr.ee/DJ Force X, and it links you to all the sort of feeds of the podcast. So whatever your poison is, it should have it on there. It's getting put up on a bunch of different ones as well. I'm still waiting for Pandora for my friends in the States. It's on iHeartRadio though, so you guys can get that there. But yeah, please keep using that Linktree link and share it as well. That'll be awesome, because I've noticed a definite uptake in numbers when using that. So please share it and all that kind of good stuff, and all the ratings and reviews and stuff that I occasionally ask for. That would be awesome as well if you guys could do that. Slightly losing my voice now. So without much further ado, I give you Gordon from Raging Speedhorn. Enjoy. I would like to welcome to the show today, I have Gordon from Raging Speedhorn. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I am good. How are you?
I am really good, thank you.
Excellent.
Sorry, wait there 2 seconds, sorry.
Oh.
My daughter's trying to run in the room. Sorry, she's trying to run in the room.
No, that's all right. That's all right. It's real life going on. I like that.
I know. I've come in the front room to get her wig. She's going to bed, but it's just a nightmare. So.
Yeah, no, I've got a couple of my own, so I've been there.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I've got my own little fortress of solitude right now. Quite fortunate on that front. So yeah, no, cool. Is that your first?
Yeah, it's the first and the last one. Yeah,
I said that, and then there's a couple more that came along afterwards. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I never thought I'd ever have kids, to be fair, just because of mine and my wife's sort of lifestyle of being away and stuff a lot. We never thought we'd have one, so Daisy come along, and that's it for me.
Yeah, it changes everything, doesn't it?
I'm happy with one.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good indeed, man. Yeah, no, that's quite an introduction. No, it's all right. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, no, we're here to talk about Raging Speedhorn. You guys have just celebrated a 20th anniversary for your first album. Self-titled album, I should say, as well. And as I mentioned beforehand, back in the day, I'm a huge fan now, but I was a fan back in the day when that came out. I was part of your initial street team, or one of your street teams. And I remember going to one of your, I think it was your launch show at the garage. You did like a free show for your street teamers and fans and stuff. I remember being late for that show. I think you guys were all about 3 songs from the end. For some reason, we got delayed. It was a bunch of us going, and we made it though, and we caught you at the end, and then caught you subsequently after that. I think on at Uxfest, which I mentioned as well, which I think we played with you on, but from a separate Uxfest from prior to us playing. And also, I think you were on tour. Well, you were on tour all the bloody time.
Yeah, we were back then. Yeah.
So let's go back to that time. So what was it? What was it like for you guys to kind of like, because you had a lot of momentum from what I remember. Obviously, being part of your street team, I sort of got every bit of promo that came through. But like talking about you guys to other people when I was out giving out stickers and flyers and all that kind of stuff, there was a lot of love for you guys, like coming out the underground scene. So what was it like from your perspective?
It sort of just came out of nowhere, really, for us. I mean, because we were a band from for about 3 or 4 years before any of that sort of happened.
Yeah,
it's like it was a really sort of hard slog. I mean, I remember us going down for a meeting with our management team and sort of saying, what do you want to do with this band? Like, do you want to what do you really want to do? And all we said is we just want to tour. That's all we want to do.
Yeah.
Basically, they were like, yeah, okay. So I mean, back then when we first started, I mean, there was the internet, but it wasn't as big as it is now.
It really wasn't, was it?
We just get like these sort of itineraries emailed to us sort of every month or every couple of months, or it got to like every 6 months where it just have like an outline of what we were doing, and we literally just we were on tour for a good couple of years before anything started, and it was like our manager bought us 2 tents and said, right, just go off and just tour and don't bother me, just and that's what we did, you know. It's like it took a long time, because people used to say to me, oh yeah, you just came out of nowhere and was like instantly had this big thing, and it was like, nah, we didn't. We played to literally no one for years, you know, until like I think we got on like an Earth Tone 9 Krang tour.
Yep.
That was sort of the beginning of it then, and then sort of from that, then like magazines and stuff started picking us up, and it sort of just went sort of like snowballed into like doing the record. And we like that record was recorded in like 7 or 8 hours. I mean, we went in and we thought we were just running through the songs, and the guy was like, that's it, and we were like, what? Really? He's like, yeah, that's it. And it was that quick. We never really thought about as being like a band like we became, you know. Like we were all sort of underground kind of kids who just wanted to play really noisy music and annoy people. We never thought about becoming what we became, which is, to me, even now, it still blows my mind, you know, to think of what we've done. you know. No. Being sitting here now at the age of 41, which is insane to me. Think that I'm that age, and still doing the band now. I was
going to say, and still doing it, which is you know, sort of a testament to, you know, that kind of perseverance, especially for the style of music that you have or do. At the time, I remember it was the Earth Tone 9 tour. I think I first saw you guys. And that's when I kind of got, I think, because like during doing street team stuff, I was sort of involved with like Copro and I think Mushroom Records and stuff like that, when street teaming was kind of a thing. So I used to do stuff for like 1 Minute Silence, Pitchshifter, Earth Tone 9, Mudvayne, just, I mean, you rail off the bands from that era.
Yeah.
And I was sort of like part of like giving out cassette tapes and CDs and stickers and, you know, going to shows in London and stuff like that, you know, when I was young enough to kind of like, you know, when I had no responsibilities, but I had a real passion for music because I had my own fanzine, like back like early days of the internet. We're talking like 97, 98. I had my own webpage, so I was interviewing like Will Haven and bands like that. So I really loved that kind of brutal sound, but not overly brutal. Not the kind of like, I was never really into the sort of major sort of like death black metal side of things.
I mean, like I never was, to be fair. I mean, like, I sort of, me and John and Tony, we came from sort of like more of a sort of grungy kind of sort of background, and then like we went to see Deftones on the Round the Fair album, and like we were just sort of in London Astoria, and we were just on the balcony just seeing this other band sort of setting up, and they turned around and started hitting to a song, and it was Will Haven. Yeah. And I've turned around to John and Tony. I was like, we've got to do a band like this. We've got to be in this kind of. We've got to do this. And sort of we started going into the heavier side, and the other guys are in another band, and their band split up, and we sort of just come together, and that's how we sort of. I mean, like we were massively into like Iron Monkey, obviously. Yeah. By that point, but. Yeah, I honestly think that. I mean, I think that's the reason why I think we did quite well back then. Is when we started doing well. Is I think it was that no nonsense kind of attitude that we had. Mm-hmm. You know, and like you had like bands like Pitchshifter and Earth 09 and all that, but there was no band. And I still sort of think that now. There's no band that sounds like how we sound. No,
there wasn't. That's what really like gravitated me towards you guys, because I mean I love Will Haven, that kind of like droning sort of like atmospheric kind of, you know, soundscape, if you will. Yeah. But you guys had that, but with like dual vocals, like hardcore vocals. Yeah. And I was at that show as well, that Deftones show, believe it or not. Really? I was at a lot of shows when I was that young. I mean, I'm 40, so I'm not too far off you, but I actually found there a live recording of that entire set by Deftones from that night. It's online now. Oh wow! Yeah, the guy from MTV or something put it up, and it was just crazy because I was like, "Oh fuck!" I was in that pit. I was in that, you know, I was watching, and I met Grady of Will Haven, so I was like fanboying.
Weirdly enough, it was so weird for me because like I became like not a super fan, but I was a massive fan of Will Haven. Like it was on my 18th birthday, so I went up and said, got my CDs, which I've still got CDs signed from Grady. Yeah, same here. Like 2 or 3 years later, like we get like a phone call. Oh yeah, you're gonna go out and do like 4 or 5 dates with Will Haven. I was like, no way, that's unbelievable to me. Yeah. You know, and like even now, like a few years ago, I seen Grady in France, and it was, oh Gordon, how are you doing? And it's just like, it still blows my mind. Yeah. That he knows who I am. You know, he was telling me, he was in a place working out in America, and he had the Speedhorn shirt on, and someone came up to him and said, no way. You know, I was like, that's unbelievable. That like even now, that still blows my mind. You know, that kind of thing happened.
Yeah. It's crazy how it turned out, because like I mentioned before, I was in a band as well, and we kind of came out the woodwork around 2001, 2002. We started getting a bit of like publicity and all that kind of stuff at the time. We were more in the sort of like nu metal vein of things. Yeah. Like the Slipknot style of stuff. But you know, we got into Kerrang. Anyway. Enough sort of like name dropping on my part. But yeah, no. When you sort of like when you're sort of I found like, especially recently interviewing a lot of people from these like bands of the day, that they've become friends of yours, or they've become like associates of yours, and they know you. Yeah. From various things, and that blows my mind, because I love music. Music's always been my thing, and I love promoting music. I love, you know, even now I'm finding new bands, and it's fantastic, you know. And just being able to call some of these bands that I used to look up to all the time. You know, I used to go to all their shows in London, or if they were playing more local to me, I'd go to there. And then now that, you know, like you say, they know you by name, and they like, you know, and it's different. It's not like you've still got that fandom part of it, but they look at you as I say an equal, I suppose is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, no, I love that. That's amazing, especially with Will Haven.
Yeah. But I think that's like the thing with us. I think we had that sort of that attitude of like, you're not doing anything different than what we're doing. You're just in a band which is bigger than we are.
Yeah.
So like, and I've never ever got starstruck by meeting somebody who have like, the people I've sort of met.
Yeah.
Like I should have got starstruck, but I never have, because I'm just like, well, they're just doing exactly the same thing as I'm doing.
Yeah.
But on a bigger scale, it doesn't really, that's basically all it is. But yeah, I mean, like this. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy if I think about the amount of sort of bands I've sort of toured with. But yeah, I mean, it is though. I mean, to me, it's just like, well, they're just doing exactly what I'm doing, but on a different level. And that's the reason why I think when bands, younger bands, whatever, come up to speak to me or whatever, I don't ever feel like, like we were playing shows like in January, and this guy said to me, "Oh, you don't have to introduce yourself to me," and I find that really weird. I'm just a dude at home. Like I don't do like I'm not no different than you are.
Yeah.
And I think some bands sometimes forget where they come from. They shouldn't. But yeah,
no, I've had that as well. Where you kind of don't that sort of like saying of "don't meet your heroes." I've had that a couple of times where they've had either they are like that generally, or they've just had a bad day. It's not stopped me from like loving their music, but it's just sort of, there is that sort of side of it that you do get. But I mean, I think I've met you guys I think a couple of times anyway. Like we're talking almost like the 20 years ago. And you guys were always good. You're always up for fun.
We still are. I mean,
that's
I mean, like that's the thing is like there's no point in being in a band like we are anyway, and we're sort of known for. It's so hard because we're known for that kind of thing of having a good time. So it's like some days like when you just can't be asked at a gig or something, and people are like, "Yo, have a shot," and you're just like, "I just don't want to do it," but then you end up doing it because cause if I say no, I feel like a right idiot, a bit of a dick, you know what I mean? Because sometimes I feel like you're offending people, but it's so. And the thing is like, if it weren't through them people coming to our shows and supporting us for so long, like we wouldn't be doing it. And that's what I always say to people: just thanks for coming and seeing us, because I never thought our band would be going at this long.
No, I mean, like I said, the sort of brutal style of your music it was unusual because it was very different from everything coming out at that point. Obviously, you had the likes of Will Haven, but you are different from Will Haven. You had that kind of like heavy, kind of thumping edge to it.
Yeah.
But it was different, and it still is now. I can't think of any other bands really, like in the immediate sort of like aftermath of it, that really kind of like had your sound or still have your sound.
No.
It's difficult to kind of think, actually. I'm just trying to think of anything. No, I can't think of anything. But how did you sort of like, because you, like you said, you're on tour for like, after that album was released, you're on tour pretty much, I think solidly for about I'm guessing 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
And you were on tour with some of the biggest bands of that era that are still, I mean, they're huge. The bands there, you like played with Slipknot. I think Rammstein and you were obviously on all the festivals and everything as well. How was that for you? Because obviously I had the sort of like mid-level experience, if you will.
Yeah.
We played some festivals, we supported some big bands, we had some big shows, but sort of like taking it to that next level, and how was life on the road?
Just crazy.
Crazy.
It was just like non-stop party, really.
Yeah.
Like, because the first sort of, I would say, proper big band we went on tour with back then was Biohazard.
Yeah.
And that was like the first, because we'd done, I think it was, I don't know what year it was, because we sort of, because like, it must have been on the first record we went out with them, because halfway through it, we recorded The Gush with Billy and Danny from Biohazard in a hall, and that's what got released on the again because we re-released the first record with the Gush on it.
Yeah.
So it was then, and that was I remember just going on tour with them and just thinking, because back then they were still like a big band. We were playing to like 4,000 people a night.
Yeah.
It's just like, holy shit! Like we're on tour with a proper rock stars here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were just, and it was I think it was the best introduction for us to go on tour with a bigger band like that.
Yeah.
Because they come from the Bronx. You know, like we come from a bit of a like sort of dead end town back then, and so like we instantly got on really, really well. You know, like they were a lot older than us, and we were sort of like these young kids, so they just sort of would tell us to do stuff, and we would just do it.
Yeah,
they thought that was the most funniest thing that ever. So like that was I think that tour was like a month or so.
Yeah.
That was the first sort of the big thing we ever did, and then on that tour we got told we were doing Ozfest, and we were like, holy shit, like this is, and that's sort of after Ozfest, that's when it sort of properly blew up for us. And then it just sort of, it's so weird because it sort of mingles into sort of one big thing, because after Biohazard we had a phone call saying we got the Amen tour, which was another month, so we sort of came home for I think a week or so, and then we went straight back out with them, and then it sort of just sort of all went into one big thing. And it's quite, I was saying this to somebody the other day, it's like we just got so used to that so quickly, we had to get used to it. So playing big festivals just became like the norm kind of thing to do.
Yeah,
we would sit there going, oh man, we're playing this festival with Slipknot, or playing with, it'd just be like, oh, we're playing with Slipknot this week kind of thing. And it just became, and I think it was just, again, it's like our sort of, the attitude we had was like, fucking yeah, man, we'll smash Slipknot, fuck him. And like, in our heads, it's like every time we played a show, it was like we were sort of like fighting against the other band.
Yeah.
Them, you know, and it was just like that sort of, that attitude we had is we don't really give a fuck what anyone thinks about us anyway. We're doing it for us, not for them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, yeah, and it's sort of just, now I think to myself, I wish I would have appreciated it a little bit more. But then in a way, it's like that's the reason why we did so much, because we didn't care, you know. And if that the attitude of what we had, that's the reason why people wanted us around, because they knew something was going to happen.
Yeah,
if we were around. But yeah, it all sort of went into like, because the second and first record, it was done so quickly that we were just sort of like, you're in the studio, you're back out on tour, and it was just all of that all the time until the end of the second record, and then it all sort of died down a bit. But from then, me and Frank and Darren were in a band called Viking Skull, so we were straight back out on tour, so we never really stopped.
Yeah.
You know, so we didn't really get the chance to sort of take a breath or take it all in, really. But yeah, it was crazy. I mean, like, I remember being backstage and like hanging out with like Corey from Slip, because we've been on tour with them, so we knew him quite well.
Yeah,
he's like being backstage and then looking and then seeing all the Slipknot sort of masks and overalls and going, fucking hell, this is crazy, isn't it? This is nuts. But yeah, it was just one big sort of I can't really explain it. It was just a big whirlwind of what was going on, and we had so much other things going on with like doing stuff with the band. I don't think we ever really got a chance to really take it all in. We just had to go with it.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, now, like, obviously looking at 20 years later from that launch period, I mean, you know, you mentioned obviously Viking Skull there. You kind of had that sort of itch for the road even after the sort of like initial sort of 2 album cycles of Raging Speedhorn there. Because I remember Viking Skull, I wrote that down and I was like, oh yeah, I'll mention that. But no, what I wanted to do is like take back to like, because you said the album was done in a day.
Yeah, it was done very quickly, because before we'd even went in the studio, we'd been sort of demoing a lot of stuff anyway, because it was like our management group was looking for a label for us, so we were just constantly in and out of the studio anyway, sort of demoing it. So it was all there. We knew exactly what we wanted to do. I can't remember the guy who we went in with. It was a guy who's done like loads of like Cradle of Filth and stuff. And I think, I don't know, it was just either we had no money or we just had to get it done quick because we wanted it done. And it was, I mean, it could have been 2 or 3. It sort of goes into one thing, but I remember us going in and just like blasting it out, and it was done. And like, if you hear the record, you can sort of tell because there was no sort of like overdubs or anything. But I think that's what our management wanted. They just wanted it raw, and because obviously back then it was like Corby bruises and all this sort of stuff, and I think they wanted it to be raw as it could possibly be.
Yes, yeah.
Just for that impact of, I mean, like the amount of people who still say to me, "Oh, it's our favourite records." I'm like, I can't even listen to it. I think it sounds so bad. But then it is what it is, you know. It's like 20-year-old kids going in. Yeah. With it just sounds like like a punk rock record to me, you know, with just very raw. It was, you know, that's what it was. I mean, it was great. Yeah, no,
I was gonna say, because it like you mentioned there, I mean, it definitely has a massive raw edge to it, and I was just surprised when you said it was done in a day, because I mean, you can, I mean, it sounds live, which is why
I mean, I can't even remember doing overdubs or anything like that. I mean, I don't even know the vocals, to be honest with you, what they did. Yeah, because we were sort of in and, because we only had like a blocked time period, because by that point, before the record came out, we were just on tour all the time.
Yeah.
I think our manager was like, right, you've got a week here or whatever, how many days, just get in there, do it, and let's just get you back out, because we had probably had some playing in Gravesend or somewhere like that, so we had to just, you know, and it was just sort of, it was that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, 20 years later, I mean, I've been listening to it more recently on a more regular basis, but I've always had a couple of tracks sort of in my playlists, sort of from that time. I mean, obviously Thumper was the huge sort of like record at that point, with the video and everything as well, rotating on, as it was then, Kerrang TV and Scuzz and MTV Headbangers Ball, Super Rock, or whatever it was called then. But I really like Super Scud as well, the opening track. I thought it was really impactful, and I myself, I DJ rock clubs as well.
Oh, awesome.
And so I've played your stuff out, obviously, back then, and I remember Super Scud being like a good sort of floor filler.
Yeah.
as weird as that sounds for the sort of like style of music, but obviously if you've been to rock clubs, you know what that's like.
I mean, even when we play that live now, the minute that comes in, it just kicks off big time. It's still like, again, it's 20 years down the line. You don't even think that will happen, you know.
No, it's a crazy one. I mean, it's like, it's weird, because I'm in quite a fortunate position to talk to a lot of people from back then. Like I mentioned before, I've got I had Mark from Pitchshifter on, which we'll talk about in a moment, because obviously you guys are going out on tour with him. But I've already spoken to Carl from Earth Tone 9, and that's coming out in September. But like having and even I've had Harley from Cro-Mags on the show, and like him back then, I was like, I went back and re-listened to a lot of stuff I used to listen to, because I used to be into that sort of like hardcore side of things, hardcore punk rock stuff, and it's one of those things where, like, even though I'm 40 and out of shape, I would say, but like it makes me want to like throw the shapes I used to throw in the pit, kind of thing, and Super Scud has that kind of like impact on me as well.
I mean, like that's what I always said, and I always say that because it's only me and Frank who are the original members now in Speedhorn. But I always, even like the boys are in the band now, I always say, look, to me, it's like if I can't still play the way I played back then, like I wouldn't do it. Because I just think it looks so. I've seen bands who do it, and it's so fucking lame when you see it, and you're just like, oh, there's just nothing there anymore. Like, just stop doing it. And like, if that ever happened to us, I think we would just stop sort of straight away, because you know that's what our band's all about, is the energy and the attitude of what we've got. You know, you know, there's some bands that still do it. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day, completely different band to what we're like, but a band like the Wild Hearts, it's like I've known them guys for ages, and like they're in their 50s, and like when you still go and see them, they're so energetic still, you know. And I think that even with them boys, I think if they got to a point where they couldn't be like that, they just wouldn't do it anymore.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, you know, when people come to see you, they expect that sort of level of like craziness or being pissed, taking the mick out of something, you know. And it's all that sort of the banter thing. It's like it's all got to be there, because if it's not, there's no point, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally agree with you. I mean, it's one of those things you can sort of see in some bands that go through the motions, if you will. Yeah. And then you get some bands that you can tell are still enjoying it. It doesn't matter what they're playing. They kind of, I think it's an ego thing of getting over, like, obviously you are a creative soul, but there's that element that you've got yourself into the entertainment side of things. So you are there to entertain the people. Yeah. And it's like when I like, the only sort of thing I've obviously from being in a band, you get that buzz off the crowd, but like more recently it's like DJing. You know, I'm playing other people's music, but you've still got to like feel the room around you. You've got to like read them. You've got to make, you know, if you're making them dance, then it's going to make you feel good. And I just do it. It doesn't matter if I've heard that Metallica song 20,000 times. You know, it still gives me that buzz of like just sort of like getting people to dance. You know, and because I listen to music all the time, I hear these tracks all the time, but they still give me that kind of like goosebump moment, if you will.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like anything. I mean, like you can put on like records I've listened to since I was a kid, you know, and I still think they're awesome. You know, still listen to them now. It's just, I think when you get older as well, it's like them sort of records when you're younger, they just bring back memories, don't they?
Oh, totally.
You're like, oh man, that was an awesome day or something like that. But yeah. I mean, like it's so like, I mean, God, like where I live now, there's no rock bars or anything. I live in like a village, so there's nothing like that anymore. But yeah, like I mean, like, the only time I ever go to somewhere like that is if we're playing. Yeah. Now, but yeah, it's quite sad. I mean, like even in Cardiff, because I live about 20 miles away from Cardiff, but even like the bars around there, there's not many anything like that anymore. In Cardiff.
Okay.
It's a bit lame, really. Yeah,
I've not been to that area of the world for a little while, so I wasn't. You know, I remember it having quite a few venues at one point. But no, I mean, I only really go to like rock clubs if I'm DJing. So again, it's that kind of thing. If I'm working, then I'll be there. If I'm not, I'm at home doing homely things. So you know, my obviously my responsibilities have changed over the years. So but yeah,
you got to try and like. That's one thing when we had Daisy, I was like, I don't want to, like, I want to still be who I am. Yeah. You know, it's hard to be, but it's like you've got to sort of hold on to that, because, you know, it is who you are at the end of the day.
Exactly, and you don't want to, like, I mean, I went through the same thing, and you don't want to resent your child. For not letting you be who you want to be. No. And thankfully I've never felt that way. I've never been that way with mine. So, you know, that's the thing, because I've never had to change. Well, I haven't had to change much, you know. I just had to sort of get more of a stable income, I think, was the key, because, you know, being a musician isn't always...
it's hard work. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, at the minute, my business has stopped because of this whole thing, but I still work with bands a lot and stuff, but it's just it's rubbish at the minute. But there we go.
I was going to say, but I mean it's rubbish for everyone as well. So exactly. It's just sort of, I mean, I was kind of in a fortunate position. I didn't get furloughed, so and well, I'm back in work now, but I was being at home working during most of it, but mine's more sort of like customer facing based, so I fix people's phones and computers and all that kind of stuff. So it's but now I'm like, we're back in store and or back like with the customers like as of a couple of months ago, so it's kind of kicked on again. But no, a lot of my like obviously compatriots during that lockdown period, which is obviously still going on for them, a lot of them are suffering. So just not being able to get out, or they're doing like, I mean, they're doing stuff online, but that's not generating them nowhere near the amount of income that they were sort of like requiring and whatnot. But
I own a splitter van company.
Yeah.
For bands, so like in April when it all started, literally I had a full calendar of work, and it all went in an hour. I mean, and my wife's a lighting designer as well for theatre, so like all her is gone as well. But I mean, it's like, you know, I hate sort of moaning about it, because like every time I hear like a podcast or something, everyone's going, "Oh, so how is it?" And everyone's like, "Oh, it's really shit," and it is shit. But like, you got to look on a positive sort of side of things. Going, well, I'm at home with my wife and my daughter, where I never really see that much because I'm always away or working.
Yeah.
So that's just, you know, like it is crap, but we can get through it. It's just you got to just wait a bit longer.
Yeah. No, I mean, there will come a time when we can get back to some kind of, I'd say, I'm not going to use the word normal, but some kind of like regularity with it. It's going to be different. I mean, when I return to work, I mean, we're in masks, we're keeping 2 meters away from people, we're sanitizing everything every however long. But you know, being in like your line of work and being like a musician as well, like going out on these tours and whatnot, and you know, it having stopped everything, and you know, and like you say, you've got to look on the bright side of things, and I kind of focused on like getting guys like you to just, you know, we just sit down and have a chat on this podcast thing. So over the sort of like major lockdown period of that 3 months where everything was completely gone down, I was interviewing people every day, and it was just nice to chat to people. You know, I think I did like something stupid like 55 podcasts in that time. So, and that was just like different levels as well. It wasn't just sort of like guys that had made it. It was guys that were kind of on their way, and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, and each of them, it was like just sort of, you know, a lot of them, some of them needed that kind of like positive push. Like, you're releasing music, you're helping people. It's not ideal. You're not getting out there to, you know, perform live and whatnot. But the fact is you're helping people with that music.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with us now, like we're thinking about, well, we're putting our new record out in October.
Okay.
It's like, it's all, like, it's really cool because it's like, you know, I was going, I don't know if we should do it, and our managers go, no, it's the best time to do it, you know, and it's like, and it's true because people are just, you know, they can't go to shows, so they just want new music to listen to, and it's just the best time for us to do it, you know? Yeah,
I wholeheartedly agree. That's what I was saying to a lot of people, is like, I've actually got time to actually sit down and not just listen to releases by bands, but actually appreciate them properly. Because I could just go through, like, beforehand I was always looking for the one that would work for the club, the one that would work on, you know, the radio song that people release and stuff like that, and now I get to sort of like immerse myself in their entire albums. That's awesome. And there's been absolutely like some magnificent albums come out over this period of time that I've just been pushing, you know, I've just been like, you know, go listen to this new album. It's not really like, you know, it would not normally be my kind of music, but I really kind of like gravitate towards stuff, and just some of the people I've had on the show have been absolutely brilliant, you know, just having those chats and discovering new bands and talking to guys that, like yourself, that had an impact on myself. You know, and that was like with Mark from Pitchshifter. It was just like, back then I'm still a massive fan now again, but I was just a massive fan of Pitchshifter. Again with the street teaming, again with like, and when he went on to go into the Blueprint and all that kind of stuff. But you guys, you've announced a couple of tour dates with them next year. Which will hopefully go ahead. I will be at the Nottingham show.
Awesome.
I've purchased my tickets already. So me and my wife will be up there on our we get very few nights away, because we're based down in down sort of like in Surrey, sort of South London. Okay. So we're making that trip to the middle.
Oh, nice.
Because I didn't really fancy doing London. But we did Nottingham a couple of years ago when Pitchshifter did their like reunion tour.
Yeah, that was with 09, wasn't it?
It was with Alto 9 and the Blueprint actually on that show.
Amazing.
Which was really cool because, you know, it's that kind of like full on like nostalgia trip for me.
Yeah.
And I got my stepdaughter into them as well, so I made them a new fan at the same time.
Awesome.
So, which was really cool. But yeah, this tour coming up, I mean, it's a year and a half away, but you know, and you said you guys, obviously you got your album coming out in October.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's start with the album. What can we kind of, have you got anything coming out soon, like new music wise?
Well, there's
to lead up to it.
We had a song where we brought out, like, we did like a video kind of thing with everyone, because obviously we're miles apart, so we just did it. We videoed it all on our phones, on our camera, and our manager got it all edited. So that's been up for like a couple of months now, which is done quite. It's called Snake Bite.
Yeah.
And then we're just about to release another song as well, but the pre-orders are hopefully next week going to start. So yeah, because we are releasing it on our own label now. So, but yeah, I think you must know our manager Darren Sadler.
I do, yeah. Yeah, so I was about to say.
Yeah, so he's come on board, and it's got a lot better since, because I was sort of, the first time we got back together, it weren't even supposed to be us getting back together like we did.
Yeah.
You know, it was, we've been offered Sonosphere, we've been offered that, let's just do it, and then the next minute we're recording a record. It's just, that's how it's sort of happened. But yeah, it's all going really, really well now. It was very stressful in the last sort of 3-4 years, because Frank was seriously ill.
Yeah.
Life-threatening illness, and you know, we had that to deal with, and then members were sort of leaving.
Yeah.
I was just there going, no, I'm not having it. We're going to do it. We're going to bring people. So we got Andy in from 100 Reasons. He's playing bass now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's been in the band for about a year and a half now.
Oh, okay, cool.
But again, like he's like another band who we toured with quite a lot.
Yeah, they're from my neighbourhood.
They're lovely. They're lovely guys. I absolutely love them.
I used to basically, I followed them when they were called Floor.
Yeah,
and then they, I think they got a guy from, is it Jetpack something? And then they became 100 Reasons, and then just like, because they're literally from the same town as me.
Oh wow!
So watching them blow up was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like we it was so weird, because we sort of came up all together, really, like Speedhorn and 100 Reasons. It's like when we did our first show with them, they were still called Floor.
Yeah.
At the Kingston Peel.
Yep.
That's the first show we ever did. And like, we just sort of, they were doing really well, and like we were all on the same sort of festival circuit, so we sort of all just stayed in touch. And it was sort of like we did the 20-year anniversary show a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Andy was there, and I said to Andy, it's looking like our guitarist is leaving, and he was like, I'll come in and play guitar. And I said, okay. So yeah,
nice. Long
story short, we ended up getting someone else, like Dave, in play guitar, and I was like, and everyone's going, what about a bass player? I was like, we should get Andy in. So I sort of messaged Andy and I said, look, have you still got your bass stuff? And he said, well, I've got a bass. I went, do you want to come in to do a couple of shows with us? And he said, yeah, but I don't want to be in a band. I've got to sort my shit out. Then like we did like 2 shows, and he just came over to us halfway through a song. He's like, I want to be in the band. I was like, you're in the band. That was the whole sort of premise of you doing it. Like,
yeah.
Tell you that, but that was happening. But yeah, it's great. It's great that he's in the band. It's all good.
That's amazing.
And plus, like a lot of the band members live in like Stoke area, Manchester, Stoke, and he moved up there a couple of months ago. So basically, the whole band is basically based there now. Bar me and Frank. Yeah. So it's great for him. You know, it's like he's got ready-made band basically up there now. So that's great.
That's really cool.
He's such a good bass player.
Yeah.
And he fits in really well with us lot.
No, that's really cool. I was like, that's totally amazing. I didn't even realise that. I mean, I knew you had Dan from, is it RSJ?
Yeah.
I think it was. We played with RSJ many times back in the day.
Oh, wow.
And I used to love I love their sound. Like, it was just a wall of like pummeling noise. But he was a very energetic frontman and stuff. So
yeah. But it was because when Frank was really ill, because we were on tour with Skindred, and Frank sort of told us like he's not well and all this stuff, and we're like, oh shit. And he was like, no, I'm going to do the first part of the tour. And then stuff happened, and he just couldn't do it. He was ill. He couldn't do it. So we were like, and he said, "Oh yeah, I can't do it." And I was like, "Right, would you mind if we did it? If we got Dan in or someone?" He was like, "Yeah, I'll give you my blessing to do it."
Cool.
So he came in, and we were like, "Fuck, he's amazing! He's amazing." He was really good. And then like Frank came back, and then stuff happened with John, and it was like, right, we just need Dan in. And like literally, he had like a week or two to go, and he went into a practice room himself, like wrote his own lyrics because we didn't want to use John's.
Yeah,
he did. And then we went straight in the studio, and it was amazing. So it was, it was sad that John left, but it was like, it was just, it's a hard thing to talk about, but it was like it was coming. It was it's on the cards. For a long time.
I mean it's like if you know that it was time, then. It's that kind of moment. But, I went through band people leaving, breakup, all that kind of stuff. And, it's difficult. Even though, there was sort of like if there was a toxic element there that you knew wouldn't persist.
Yeah.
Or I'm not saying there is with this, but I was just like, from my own experience, it's like if you know that kind of toxicity is there, but yet you're still willing to go, it's a bad relationship.
Yeah, to be fair, it's been like that for quite a while. And it just came to sort of a head, and it was just like, oh my God, getting phone calls from the studio and saying it weren't right, and and it was the attitudes and all that stuff. And I was like, because I was obviously back then I was still sort of trying to manage the band, and I was just there going, oh, what do I do?
Yep.
like the guy who was recording us saying, saying stuff, and I was like, right, I've got to take him on board, and try to talk to John and. Because me and John have been friends since school, so it was that horrible thing of going like, what's going on, and it was just like, and it just came to a head, and I was just like, I'll tell you what, I'm not babysitting anybody anymore.
No,
like fucking hell, I'm too old for that kind of thing. It was like, and that it all just came to a head, and it just like it was when you've been a band for like 20 odd years, and like we don't make a hell of a lot of money from the band. Even though everyone thinks we're loaded doing the band. We're like we had to go off and get jobs and all that stuff. The way it is. But it just happens because people have got normalish lives, or they need to. Some people need to have a steady income.
Yeah.
So kids in that, we're lucky with everybody who's in the band now. All own their own businesses, so we're quite flexible. So, there's always like, oh shit, can I do that? Right, let's try and figure it out. And we've never said no to a tour or since we've been back. So it's just one of them things. Sometimes it's like I've got a normal job, I can't just go on tour all the time. Where it's like I'm in a band, something comes up, we're gonna do it. But that's just the attitude I've got. It's like, what's the point in being in a band and then turning down stuff? Yeah,
no, that's very true.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
But that's come from that attitude of how we were when we were younger to where we are now.
Yeah, and you still kind of got, from the sound of it, you got that hunger still.
That
kind of.
I mean, it's hard to like. It's it's. I don't know if it's hard to get a new audience or whatever, but like we have noticed that there's younger people coming and going, I've never heard of yous, and my mate dragged me along, and I heard you on this, that, and the rest. I'm like, oh, that's amazing, it's still cool.
No, I've found that like it's up to the parents that are now parents that saw you back then. That's the kind of mantle I've taken anyway. So I introduced my kids to various bands that I was into. Like I say, my stepdaughter, we took her to the Pitchshifter show back a couple of years, a year and a half ago, and we take her to like newer bands like Hailstorm and stuff like that as well. But no, it's just really like, because you guys are still going, and that's the great thing. Like Pitchshifter coming back, that's great, because and Earth Tone 9 were playing, which is also great because these are all bands. I'm hopefully speaking to 1 Minute Silence.
Oh, awesome.
And seeing if because I know they attempted to come back about 10 years ago. but didn't quite work out for them. But and seeing if they're going to do anything and all that. So it's kind of.
Did they not release a new song not long ago?
They did an EP, like a crowdfunded EP. That was the last thing that I am aware of. I know they've been releasing like 20th anniversary, because they're another band on the 20th anniversary thing this year with Buy Now Save Later. And I know Massey's been releasing various bits of merchandise.
Okay.
So I'm hopefully chatting with him soon. So
it's going to happen.
That's what I hope, because it's kind of like I guess at the moment it's giving them all time to kind of think about it. Whereas, they've all got their own sort of like lives individually. So just sort of seeing. It's so weird for me. It's obviously because I was on tour a lot, like tour managing bands and stuff, and then something would come up and you'd be like, oh yeah, I was in like Speedhorn, and even like younger bands. What bands was like Bury Tomorrow and While She Sleeps and all that sort of bands. They'd be like, bloody, I didn't know, and it was that sort of thing of people all constantly saying to me, why are you not doing the band anymore? I was just like, I live in Wales, like when the band split up, I was like, I'll never fucking do it again. I don't want to do it again. Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. And it's sort of just one day I just rung John up. I was like, would you be up for doing a couple of shows? He was like, yeah. I was like, right, we're gonna do it with Frank again.
Yeah.
And I rung Frank, and Frank was like, yeah, of course I'll do it. No, that was it, really.
Nice.
The ball was rolling. It was all going.
No, that's really cool. How is Frank doing, by the way? Because I know he said he was ill, but
yeah, he's amazing now.
Yeah,
he's
cool.
Yeah, he's back to being crazy Frank. So that's good.
That's good.
But again, it's like that in itself of him being ill, and he's like he lost his dad.
Yeah.
As well, like not long after that, I think it's given sort of like a lease of life of going, fuck, like life's too short. Let's just have fun, Let's go out and do as much as we possibly can, because you just never know when it's when it's like it's going to be over. No,
it's very true.
I think the thing is with Frank is because he left on the third after the third record got released. I think he was out so long that when he came back, he appreciated it a lot more.
Yeah.
He was like we're playing to these amount of people again. This is amazing, kind of thing. And it was like, but it does, because it don't matter who you are. I think sometimes when even if you at our level when we were doing quite well, is you just sort of you take it for granted.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gives a kick in the balls, stopping and then like starting another band and like you're playing to like 20 people or 10 people a night. You go, fucking hell, like stuff we did, we should appreciate it, and like being able to come back after 7 years and comes back in and do it like we're doing it. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, it certainly does give you that kind of like like you said, that kind of appreciation for it, and gives you that new lease of. He's had a kind of awakening with the issues that have been dealt his way, but it's it's good. It's nice to see him back, and it's nice to see you bringing the band forward, even with you've got like a core of new members.
Yeah.
The fact you got Andy from 100 Reasons that's blown my mind, because I'm like, that's a total crossover for me. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird, because we were talking about that last time I've seen Andy.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate this whole thing of like when you sort of like you suggest stuff to your agent and you go, oh, what about that? And they go, oh no, it's not the same sort of thing. And just like, fuck me, like when we were like get out on tour, like we'd be playing with 100 Reasons and all these sort of other bands like that, and it was never like a thing.
Yeah.
And I think nowadays it's like people so like even more so it's like they pigeonhole bands into something like, oh, it's punk rock, it's got to be a punk rock band supporting them.
Yeah.
It's heavy, it's got to be a heavy band. Where like, if it's me, and I've always been the same as, I just get fucking bored of listening to the same kind of thing, and I like it like when you see like a pop punk band playing with a hardcore band or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what we tried to do. I mean, like, God, we took out like Vex Red on one of our tours.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's nice because it sort of breaks it up a bit than just full on.
Yeah,
people screaming all the time. It's just like it's nice to see that.
Yeah,
I think
it was, and that's what I always liked, getting put on like kind of diverse bills.
Yeah,
like we got on put because we were like relatively heavy. Like I said, it was kind of that new metal. We had dual vocalists as well, and I was the sort of scratch DJ, if you will, in the band. So it was that full on new metal. But we got put on bills with like indie bands and pop punk bands and ska punk bands and all that kind of stuff. And it was great because it was a break from that just like torrent of screaming and thrash that we would normally like get put on with.
I mean, like we did like a couple of dates with Graham Coxon from Blur.
Oh wow!
Weird. Yeah, and it was just like, you know, all indie kids. Like, and you know, it was like 2 nights at the garage, or I can't even. Yeah, it was 2 nights at the garage. First night, everyone was like, "What the fuck's that?" But then by the second night, everyone was like, "Yeah, it's awesome," you know. And it was just like, one night I'm playing with the dudes from Blur. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know? And it was just. But that's the thing, like we were so lucky in that aspect, is everybody who sort of worked for us, no one was really in the metal scene. It was all it was completely pop people who worked for us.
Yeah.
You know, our manager was like, he managed like Gabrielle in Mark Morrison, in all of that sort of stuff. And like the guy who sort of managed us in that company, he sort of came from that sort of alternative background, but he wasn't massively into it. And then like our label was ZTT, who did like Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up back when we were talking about the albums. Like, what was it like being on a label like that?
It was awesome because it was, you know, I think sometimes I think to myself, well, we were probably just like a tax thing. We'll just fucking throw him a load of money because then we won't have to, you know. And it probably was, but like, you know, we had awesome record deals there. You know, like we rolled around on tour buses for 5-6 years. You know,
I was going to say, because you were pretty much on every tour, or every like major sort of tour, at that time, and just the momentum, obviously, of the record that you had, obviously took you onto there. But you know, you obviously had a relative backing for that, and you know, and having that kind of. I say that it's not the, you know, like you say, you might have been a tax write-off, which is kind of a fun thing to think about. Never really thought of it like that. So.
I mean, I don't know how he fucking got us that record deal. Yeah. I have not got a clue how that even came about, you know, but it was like a record deal and a publishing deal, you know. It was a proper, like, we were I remember like when we first signed the record deal, and we got some of the money in a shoebox. And like I remember like going home and having like a stack of cash and like just showing my mum, going, fucking look at this, and putting it under my bed.
Madness.
Just like, no, it was mad. And like we got the record deal, and we're like, oh, yes, wicked. And there was a place we come from Corby, but there used to be a place called Kettering.
Yeah.
We all used to drink at, and it was like more of a rock bar. And we just was like, right, we've got all this fucking money. Like, let's just put a load of it like at the bar, and let's just have the best time ever. And it was like chaos. It was crazy because we just didn't really know. We were just, it was insane, you know. And like I remember when we were first going out on tour, and we were picking up Gareth from his last day at work, and it was just like, fuck, like we're actually a proper band now.
Yeah.
You know? And that was it. But it was insane, like thinking about it, like I think at that point as well, we were the only current band on their label.
Okay.
As well, so like they, like, you know, it's weird to say it, but like we had, like, you know, the first thing we had, like, oh yeah, we'll get stylists in, and I was like, what were you on about? You know, it was mental to, like, we were like, what do you mean get stylists in? Like, this is nuts, you know. And it was just like that thing of, we want you all not to look the same, but we want you to look like you're in a gang, blah, and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, whatever, you know, sort of thing. And it sort of, it was, I think that's the reason why we sort of got dropped from them, is because we were constantly fighting against that sort of, that thing.
Yeah.
You you need to do this now. Fuck you, we ain't doing it. But you need to, fuck you. And it was just like, oh, what the fuck? Like we've got you to this point in your career. Like what can we do? Which, you know, to me now, like if we were selling the records that we sold on that first record, now no label would let us go. Like, you know, like we'd be like as big as any band now. You know, and I'm sure that's the same with like Pitchshifter as well. You know, it's like, you know, people none of us realised how badly it would become with people streaming stuff and not buying stuff. But I mean, that's what I was saying to someone the other day, is that I think we were probably one of the last bands at that level, which with a label where they let you sort of grow as a band as well.
Yes.
To a point, you know, they're like, we'll put this amount of money in, we'll put you on tour, you don't have to worry about paying for bands or anything, we're paying for all that, you know. So we didn't have to worry about that. We went on tour. I mean, we didn't get no money to go, but we get like £2 a day PDs each. So it was like, you know, we'd have to buy some food, but usually we'd just go and buy some QC crap booze from down the road and just drink that, and then try and stay at someone's house and eat all their food, so we didn't have to buy food. You know, and it was like that, and like staying on park benches and like climbing McDonald's wall to get all the food out of the bit. It was like that kind of thing that we had to do to sort of get by. But then it, as I said, it went from that to us doing quite well, sort of, to me, overnight, you know.
No, I mean, it's that thing, it's like, there's that element, like you say, there's not many bands that get developed these days.
No.
There is a lot of marketing, like you obviously had a sort of wave of that thrown at you. That is obviously, it's a lot more prevalent now, because a lot is sold on image, I feel. Than the, like, I mean, there is still some good music out there, but there's a lot more on the image side of things. It's not so much, because the shock stuff doesn't shock anymore.
No.
So there has to be kind of like, you have to find that demographic you have to be marketed towards, and all that kind of crap that you know, we generally as artists back then you pushed back on, and prior to that you pushed back on. Because it was more about your own.
But we did, for like, you know, like our bass player got made to cut his hair and all that sort of stuff, and it was just like, oh, that's fucking bullshit. But then, like, you know, our manager would be like, trust me on this, you got to do this, and we'd be like, yeah, okay. And, you know, we fought against it, but he was right.
Yeah.
It worked, you know. It's like, no one ever tried to calm us down or tame us, because that was the whole image about it, you know, of us being like these bruiser fucking kids. And, you know, and like sometimes that got us into a lot of trouble, you know, because people would come to gigs who wanted to fight us and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it, but I mean, we were like that anyway, you know. We were like sort of kids, so it was just like, oh, you want it? Let's fucking have it, you know. But I mean, we come from like we're council estate kids, you know.
Yeah.
That's just the way we were.
Yeah. No, I remember those days. It's, you know. Yeah. I was sort of down south-wise, but, you know, council house and whatnot as well. So it's, I know the exact kind that they were trying to get for. So how did the relationship with Darren come about? Like, I know he put out your live bootleg, official bootleg of that reunion show or the anniversary show. But how was that how the relationship? Obviously, I know he was part of the rock magazines back in the day.
Yeah. Well, like, we've known Darren since he managed the band called Charger.
Yeah.
So like I think that was sort of like the first sort of times I met him, and then I realised he was like, I think he was like the editor of Rock Sound.
Yes.
Then.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So then we sort of just struck up a relationship with him sort of then, and he was sort of just around because he managed Charger, and then we take out Johnny Truant. So we just he's always sort of been around us, you know what I mean? And then, like, I don't know, I think he came to, like, a show. I think it was the Electric Ballroom show we did a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then just went from there, and he got in contact with me saying, oh, do you want us to put this out? And I think a guy messaged me with this really crappy cassette tape recording, going, I've just recorded the Electric Ballroom show, and do you mind sending me it? So I sent it to Darren, and Darren was like, well, let me see if I can get it sort of a little bit better than that, and we just sort of released it, and it just sort of it went from there.
Nice.
Really. And he was sort of, do you want me to manage her? I don't know, because like I didn't want to give it all away because we've been sort of bit before. Yeah. And I just thought to myself, it's like I haven't really got the time anymore to be 24 hours a day with Speedhorn. Yeah. But I've got my own business, all that kind of stuff. So it's just let's just do it, and it's been great to be fair. Came on board.
No, that's good. I like Darren. I've known Darren for years. Again,
he's an absolute legend, and like it's always nice, to have somebody who you sort of know, because if you've got any problems or you don't like something, you can sort of tell him. Yeah. And he usually comes back like. I've never heard Darren have an argument, so he'll just come back really nice and go, yeah, well, this is how you should do it. I'm like, yeah, you are right. You just go and do it, And that's how he sort of says to me, look, just let me do what I need to do and don't worry too much. But it's hard to not worry when you've been in the band for 20 years. You're always sort of, I'm sure he gets annoyed with me when I message him about stupid stuff, and he's like, oh, fuck him again. But yeah, he's an absolute legend.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, back in like even his, I think he was part of Metal Hammer as well, and he used to come to our early shows and stuff like that. And yeah, we can't. I've always kind of, because I used to manage my band as well, so I kind of know the stresses and strains that puts on you. But and not wanting to give it away to someone either. Yeah. That was one of my things, because I was like, there was a lot of people sort of like biting, but not anyone that I could trust, if you will. But yeah, no, Darren's great. I mean, we've kept in touch over the years. Yeah. Periodically, obviously he left Rock Sound. He's got had Undergroove. I don't know if Undergroove's still going, but I know they came back and released a few things. Yeah. But yeah, no, I just want to know how that came about, because it's a cool relationship, because it's that kind of amalgamation of those days as well. So
yeah, I mean, it's a weird one, because like we've had people sort of like get in contact and all that sort of stuff, and it's just like you don't have a fucking clue about us. They know the band name and all that sort of stuff, but it's like I think we're bands, especially like we've always been this thing is like if you don't fit in, fuck off kind of thing, because like you have to sort of you've got to know what we're like. We are a weird bunch of people, we're very sort of outspoken kind of guys, and if we don't like something, we'll tell you. Yeah. And like Darren sort of, he's not that kind of guy, but he gets where we come from. He's followed us from we first started. He's the right person to come in and just and help us. Yeah. And he knows what to do. He knows the right people. Yeah. To help us to get to the next sort of level. Because I got us to we did it well by ourselves, but it gets to a point where you just go, I've run out of ideas of what to do now.
Yes, yeah, and you need that outside kind of voice, if you will. But obviously, he has got a good reputation. He's got the experience. Like I said, he's got the contacts as well. So, it works. No, that's really cool. I like that. That's good. I'm not going to keep you much longer, man. Because I know we've been chatting for a little while. But I've got a couple of questions and stuff left. But one thing I do want to ask about is just before I go into those is like, from this album coming out, what can we kind of expect? Is there anything that you've got kind of lined up on it? Is it what's the word I'm looking for? Are there any surprises, I suppose, is the what I'm looking for?
I mean, to be fair, like we've took our time with it. God, like we started writing this album, 2 years ago, 2 and a bit years ago, and like then we started recording it, and then we had to stop because of the John thing, and then so it's took a while to get it together. But it just I mean it sounds like Speedhorn. Okay. It sounds a lot like Speedhorn, but it has got different elements to it, obviously, because there's 3 different members in the band now. Yeah. There's an awesome cover on it. There's a really good cover
nice.
On it, which about like a band who you'd probably never think we would ever cover. It sounds awesome.
Okay, cool.
It's like it's more like it's it's hard to say what it sounds. It sounds like we sound, because like we went down that that route on before the sea was built, and it didn't work. You know, like at the end of the day, we've just got to stick to what we're good at.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like if anything, I would say it sounds back to more the second record kind of vibe. You know, it's got that. It's definitely back down to that sort of dual vocal, bumpery kind of sort of cool sort of vibe kind of thing. But yeah, I mean it's Speedhorn, and it's
cool.
It's it's not a long album. It's like 35 minutes.
Yeah,
full on kind of. But to me, it's the best record, and every band says it because it's new stuff. But
yeah,
it is awesome.
Nice.
You know, there's some violins and all that kind of mad shit going on. It's awesome. But because we recorded it with Russ Russell, he does like Napalm Death.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff, and like he's basically like a seventh member of our band. So we'll go off. See you tomorrow, Russ. Yeah, man, I'll see you tomorrow. With him with a couple of bottles of wine or whatever. He's like, "Oh, put this on it," and I'm like, "Fuck, that sounds awesome." It's like it sounds different, but it's still Speedhorn.
No, that's really cool. I look forward to it, man. I mean, is it obviously, I know you said you're going to sort of try and release the pre-orders next week. What sort of formats are you releasing it on? Obviously, you've got the streaming, you've got all that, and I'm assuming a CD. Are you going for any kind of like other formats?
We're releasing it on coloured vinyl.
Excellent.
Sorry, I've got it in front of me because Darren's told me to say what you... The coloured vinyl is exclusively to Cargo.
Okay,
so,
cool.
So it's like splatter, coloured splatter.
Yep.
So everything's going through them. It's going to get, and obviously all the links are going to be all over our socials as well.
Yeah.
Soon, so it's going to be CD, two different coloured vinyl, and a black vinyl cassette tape as well.
Nice. All
of that sort of stuff, and then there's going to be obviously t-shirts and all that in with the bundles and all that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, like the record, we've tried to sort of do it a little bit different, like with the album artwork and all that stuff. To me, it looks awesome. So I just can't wait. I keep on messaging Darren, going, "When are we going to put the pre-orders up?" He's like, but hopefully next week it will be going up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
So,
well, I mean, I'm looking. I want to get some vinyl because I'm like I said before, I'm a DJ and I'm a vinyl DJ. I'm always up for vinyl. So it's good. Cool. So, couple of last couple of questions in my standard kind of enders, if you will, on this one. But what I want to find out from you, first one is your three top albums that really kind of made you the musician that you are today, or person you are today, the one that made you want to pick up the sticks, if you will, and stuff like that. Just those three albums, if you've got them.
My God, I would say Nirvana, Nevermind was definitely a massive one. That was sort of, I remember sort of hearing people playing Nirvana stuff, and that was the first three albums I got bought was Rage Against the Machine's first record.
Yep.
Nevermind, and what's the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the biggest record they had?
Oh, is it
Sex Magic?
Yeah,
I would say them.
Magic, yeah.
I would say them three are the ones that sort of like made me want to play.
Nice. I say it's quite different from what you play, music wise. Saying to people, I've never want to be in a screamy band. It's like, I mean, the bands I listened to is like when I was growing up were like sort of Pearl Jam, like the whole grunge sort of scene was my kind of thing. It was never really into like Pantera or anything like that until I started getting into Speedhorn, and then the boys were going, "Oh, you should listen to this," and then that's sort of how I sort of started listening to it. But I mean, it's like, that's probably why I've never played a double kick drum pedal or anything like that, because it's like, of the bands I listen to and like, none of them really play that sort of music. Yeah. And then it went on to, like, obviously growing up, my dad was into like Black Sabbath and DC and Nice.
The Who and all that kind of stuff. So it was like that was the main sort of bands I listened to a lot.
Yeah.
And all that, but like that's probably why. Again, I've never ever touched a double bass drum pedal because that's the sort of stuff I'm into. So
no, that's really good. Yeah. No, sorry, those are 3 solid albums. To be fair, I mean, they're my era as well. So it's like, yes, I remember them coming through and being like dominant on that side of things. So it's really cool. Excellent. So finally, what are your hobbies away from music? So when you're not obviously doing Speedhorn, you're not doing your day job, your touring company. What do you kind of do to kind of get away from it?
I go running a lot at the minute.
Cool.
That's what I do. Yeah. So I mean, to be honest with you, I don't have much time to think about. Well, and I love football. I suppose you could say that's a hobby.
Yeah, but I put that down as a hobby. That's fine.
I'm a massive Liverpool fan, so it's like
yes.
Yeah.
Same here. Finally, 30 years.
I love Liverpool, so it's like it was so sad when we won the league because a lot of it's so weird. Like I've lived in Wales for so long, but I've hardly got any friends who are Liverpool fans. They're all either like United fans or Arsenal, something like that, And all, some of my friends in Corby are Liverpool fans, and Chris from Funeral for a Friend, who's one of my good mates, he's a Liverpool fan. So we sort of message each other. But I was just sitting there by myself, going, "It's amazing, I'm getting pissed, and it's awesome." Like it's a bit rubbish because there's no crowd there, or I can't go to Liverpool to parade or anything. But I'm like, it's quite shit. But then loads of people messaging me, and we're just getting pissed together. But
nice.
I'm hoping one day we can all go and celebrate together. Yeah,
that would be nice because that was one of the things because I'm a lifelong Liverpool fan and obviously being down south you get a lot of stick for that. You get a lot of stick for being a Liverpool fan generally, but there's quite a few where I work. There's quite a few Liverpool fans there as well, so it was quite nice to kind of have that moment of. I mean, the people that I was celebrating with, bar one of them, had not been alive the last time they won the league. So that was the strange one. But
I mean, Gareth, the original guitarist who now lives in Stockholm, he's a massive Liverpool fan.
Nice.
That's the reason why I support Liverpool realistically. Because his mum and his dad and him are just insane Liverpool fans, and it was like you're supporting Liverpool. I was like, okay,
yeah, that's
sort of how it happened. But it's insane. But all these Man City fans kicking off that year when we nearly won it.
Yeah,
I was in Manchester and I was in a bar with my Liverpool top on, and the amount of shit I got when they won it. And now I'm just there going, and I love listening to Talk Sport and stuff, and all these Manc fans kicking off about Liverpool, and it's just oh come on, just let us enjoy it. Stop, get a grip. I mean, I think we're going to win it again next season. I can't see how we can't.
Yeah.
No,
I agree. It was definitely. I mean, the way we were playing is the best I've seen us for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had moments of brilliance, but not of the consistency that Klopp has brought in, especially over the last couple of seasons.
You know what? I'm just glad that last year when we won the Champions League, I could be with my mate. I went back to Corby to be and hang out with some of my mates and watched it in a bar, and it was the best. It was the best night I thought. It was so fun. But at least we had that. I could be with friends that night watching it. But it's awesome that we won it. But it's a bit of a sort of come down that we couldn't really celebrate.
Yeah.
Like we wanted to.
Yeah.
But there you go. It's still awesome that we won it.
Yeah. No, definitely. I was so happy. Happy.
I honestly think we've got the best. I would say this, but I honestly do think we've got the best manager in the world.
No, I agree.
Yeah. I just love everything about him, the way he is, he's not afraid to say that he's had a beer and all this sort of stuff. And, I remember when we won it, when they were, I can't remember who they were interviewing. Was it Robinson and Milner? And what's Klopp up to? He's been on the booze all day. And it was just I honestly think that we're like to me, like the players who play there.
Yeah.
They come across as just normal people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because of Klopp's mentality of like, don't be a dickhead kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just seems to me that's what he's installed in the club.
I think so. I think he's called out players in the past as well, or in way like for being the way they are kind of thing, and he's managed to fish them out, if you will. And some obviously have gone on and retired and whatnot. But no, that's one thing I really like about it was his kind of like level of honesty.
Exactly.
And it's kept the players, and he wants players like that in there. And he tells them you could like I think when Coutinho left, he said you could stay here and be a legend, or you could go to Barcelona and just be one of the team members.
Yeah.
And then what's he become? I mean, he's in the Champions League final again, to be fair, with Bayern Munich, but that's at Bayern Munich. So
it's like because he's been been linked to Arsenal, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just like fuck it, like when they play Liverpool, the crowd's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna go down too well, is it?
No.
But saying that, look at Michael Owen going to Man United. Like
that's true.
Saying that to me, I can't even look at him. I can't even hear his voice.
Yeah.
He just completely fries my piss.
Yeah.
in every way. I just think he's such a dickhead, but there we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I agree. I agree.
There we go.
All right, well, man, thank you very much for your time. I honestly, I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you next year at Nottingham Rock City.
Awesome.
Looking forward to that show. It's one of our very few nights out. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to play. I mean, again, it's like it's so weird how we never played Pitchshifter like back in the day when we were around. Both of us were around.
Yeah.
Never crossed paths. So it's quite cool that this is happening, and it's wicked that sort of like Frank ended up on that single, one song. So it's like it's really cool like that. I remember I rung up Frank and said, "Oh, we've been offered some of these shows," and Frank was like, "Yeah, we're doing them," and I was like, "Yeah, of course we are." It's the right sort of, I think it will go down really well. So.
Yeah, no, it'll be a great night, I think. Yeah. And you on one of the London shows as well, or is it?
At the minute, we're not.
Oh, okay.
But I don't really know what's sort of going on, because there was a point where we got, Darren said, "Oh yeah, we've been offered the tour, but it's only going to be the key dates you're doing." I was like, okay, and then it got down to 2, but then it got, people put it all out that we were playing the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
So our agent was like, "No, let me sort it all out." But I mean, you never know.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I say, you're on the Nottingham date, so I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully have people going to see you on the other ones, or the other date that you've currently got on there. Then that'll be awesome as well. So
I think we've got some other another tour and stuff, or in the pipeline, but we're not allowed to really talk about yet. But
yeah, no, that's all right.
Festivals and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah.
But hopefully we'll be busy next year if we're allowed to go and play shows.
Yes, no, it'd be nice once we're back to that kind of level of.
Please.
On that front. But yeah, no, cool. Gordon, thank you very much, man.
No worries. Thank you so much too.
No worries, man. You have a fantastic rest of your night, as it is now. But yeah, good luck with the new record and stuff in October.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you very much, man.
Lovely. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.